friends, welcome back to the garden. Today we're talking about one of spring's showstoppers, azalea shrubs. These beauties are vibrant, versatile, and a true joy to grow. When you know how to care for them, that is, I'll walk you through the essentials, how to plant and care for them, when to prune, their pros and cons, and a couple other fun facts you might not have known. You guys really loved my short about azaleas, so I decided to make you a whole video. Let's get into it. Azaleas are flowering shrubs in the rhododendron family, known for their clusters of bright blooms in pink, white, red, purple, and orange. They typically bloom in spring, though some varieties offer a second flush in late summer or fall. You'll find both deciduous and evergreen varieties, which is something new I learned making this video for you guys. They do especially well in acidic soil. The deciduous varieties are the ones that will lose their leaves, and they're a bit more tall and upright base shaped. They can come in like reds and oranges and peaches. And the evergreen varieties are more of a mounding, like shrub-like growth, and they come in the red, orange, pink, purple, white, all the colors. The evergreen varieties are usually the earliest to bloom.
Azaleas, and answer it for you. My azalea pretty much just finished blooming. All the blossoms are kind of on the ground here. They fell off. They all have this kind of, like, that's where the flower was, this little white thing. So it's time to really give this a good prune now, because it just flowered. So everything, if I want to cut this down as much as I usually do, now is the time, because any other new growth it's going to get during the season, you want to have, so it'll have flower next year and be as bushy and beautiful as I want it to be. So like things like this dead, I could prune any time. This really needs to be pruned, it's all dead. But like this stuff that is sticking up, I want to prune this because I want this to be more shaped into like more of a head shape and not this crazy thing that's going to be like blocking my window in my house. So now is the time. I'm going to be cutting probably pretty way far back. Like you could see here last year, I cut this piece back, but all this new stuff came up. So I'm going to be cutting it pretty low. I'll film while I do that. See, I had this other, there's a smaller one here, and I cut this space here. It used to be all together. I cut it way back. I also am going to cut it at the end of the summer too. I cut it now really hard, and then I cut it lighter because it's going to grow a lot, and I don't want it to be covering my windows here. I want it to be lower, so it's going to get cut hard right now, right after it blooms. See, there's still even a couple blooms on here. So I'm going to cut it really hard right now, and then I'll give it a second cut later in the summer just to keep it shaped and smaller. And then I don't cut it again until the following spring after it blooms, because I don't want to cut off the growth where the new blooms are going to be.
Thrive in partial shade. They love that well-drained acidic soil like I mentioned earlier. If you really want to get sciencey, you need a pH between 4.5 and 6. I would never know how to figure that out. If your soil is more alkaline, you can amend it with pine bark, peat moss, or even sulfur. And I definitely put pine bark mulch under mine and didn't even know it, so that's cool. They probably are loving it. You can water regularly. I never water mine ever. They really don't like having soggy roots or wet feet, so mulch will keep the moisture in and keep the roots cool, and the rain waters mine. Also, you can fertilize them, but I don't. Just make sure you do it with an acid-loving plant fertilizer. Let's see. So here's the key tip for pruning those azaleas. You have to do it right after they bloom. They set next year's flower buds in late summer, so pruning too late means you won't get blooms next year. So I always do a hard prune because my azalea is old and it gets huge. So I always do a hard prune right after it drops all its flowers. Use clean, sharp pruners, remove dead wood, and I shape it because it's right in front of my front windows. You don't have to prune azaleas at all. They can grow wild and free and be beautiful. They will get big and bushy. So I just cut off the straggly branches. I try not to do the heavy pruning, like I said, unless I'm rejuvenating an older shrub. And I will have to cut it probably one more time before the summer is all the way out, but I try not to do it too late because I don't want to cut off any of that new growth. So the pros of growing azaleas: they're gorgeous seasonal blooms. They're attractive to bees and pollinators. They work well as garden borders or foundation plantings, like mine is right in front of my house, in front of my windows. And since some are evergreen, you get year-round interest. The evergreen ones won't lose their leaves. It will still have leaves and look good. The cons of growing azaleas: they can be fussy about the soil pH. I haven't noticed that in mine. They can be susceptible to pests, but I, again, haven't noticed that in mine. Their bloom time is short, so unless you choose a reblooming variety, they won't bloom for long. They just get that one flush in the spring, but it's worth it. So they're really easy and beautiful. So I want to add one more little fun thing here about the symbolism and history of azaleas. They aren't just pretty flowers. There's some fascinating meaning behind them. In many cultures, azaleas symbolize femininity, softness, and beauty, and they're often associated with gentle love and elegance. In Chinese and Japanese traditions, they're known as the thinking of home flower, carrying deep emotional and nostalgic ties. And in Victorian flower language, giving an azalea meant take care of yourself for me, a message of protection and affection. I love that, the language of flowers. A fun fact, they also represent fragile passion, which may be tied to their brief but stunning bloom time. Another note, azaleas are not edible and can actually be toxic if ingested, and they have been long appreciated for ornamental and ceremonial uses. In Korea and Japan, azalea festivals celebrate the spring bloom as a time of renewal and beauty. So when you're looking at your azaleas in bloom, remember, they're not just gorgeous, they carry quite a story of love, home, and mindfulness. So I hope you guys learned some new things about azaleas. You learned about when to prune them and how to prune them. And I hope this gives you all the information you guys have been searching for. Thanks for watching. Please give me any comments you want about azaleas. Give me a like. Give me a follow. I would love it all. Thanks, guys.